I wake up to the sound of my alarm. It's always too early. Some days I hit snooze. Most days I just sit there staring at the ceiling. I remind myself why I do this. I tell myself that I'm upholding justice, protecting people, making the world a little better. And yet, the first thought that hits me is usually, why did I sign up for this? Coffee is my first real friend of the day. I pour it strong, black, no sugar. I need it to prepare for the courtroom, to prepare for the day that will inevitably test my patience, my sanity, and occasionally my faith in humanity. I glance at the pile of files on my desk. Every one of them is someone's life. Divorces, criminal cases, civil disputes, bankruptcies, restraining orders. Some stories make me cry quietly. Some make me laugh. Most make me want to scream. I dress carefully. A black robe, the symbol of authority, of fairness, of impartiality. But it also feels heavy, suffocating at times. You wear the robe, but the weight of other people's expectations never leaves your shoulders. By the time I reach the courthouse, my head is already spinning. The hallway smells like coffee, disinfectant, and a faint undertone of desperation. Lawyers chatter nervously. Clerks move at a pace that seems frantic to anyone who isn't used to it. And there I am, expected to appear calm, composed, and unflappable. Court begins at 9. The first case is a petty theft. A kid, barely 20, caught with some stolen electronics. I try to keep my face neutral, but inside I'm conflicted. He looks scared, embarrassed, but he's also the result of a broken system. I sentence him, knowing it will likely do little to change his life, and I feel a pang of guilt. Next up is a divorce. One spouse wants custody of the kids. The other is fighting for everything else. I listen to the arguments, nod politely, and scribble notes. Behind the facade of authority, I'm exhausted. People tell you that being a judge is powerful. They don't tell you it's lonely. I break for lunch. Sometimes I skip it. Sometimes I eat a sandwich at my desk. Today it's a sandwich. Ham, cheese, nothing fancy. I scroll through emails while chewing. Complaints from lawyers, requests for rescheduling, inquiries from the press. The work never stops. The afternoon brings a criminal trial. A man accused of assault. I can see the tension in the courtroom. His family, her family, the lawyers, the jurors, they all want something different. I remind myself to breathe, to remember that I'm not a hero. I'm not a villain. I'm a judge. Evidence is presented. Witnesses testify. Some lie. Some exaggerate. Some genuinely believe their version of events. I have to sift through it all. Sometimes I envy the people who get to turn off work at the end of the day. I can't. These cases live in my mind long after the gavel falls. I make my rulings. I explain them carefully, as clearly as I can. I see relief in some faces, anger in others. I see disappointment, despair, and occasionally a glimmer of hope. I wish I could make everyone happy. I can't. There are moments of humor, though. Lawyers who mispronounce every name in the courtroom. A witness who trips over a chair and swears loudly. I can't laugh out loud, but I smile quietly. It's the little things that keep me sane. Late afternoon. A civil dispute between neighbors over a fence. It seems trivial, but the anger, the resentment, the stubbornness, it's palpable. I explain the law. I try to calm them. Half the time, they leave more frustrated than when they came in. And I wonder if this is what people imagine when they think of justice. Sometimes I see myself in the people I judge. The desperation, the mistakes, the regret, and it makes me human. It makes me doubt. And it makes me try harder to be fair. The final case of the day is a juvenile case. A teenager caught vandalizing a school. I look at him and remember my own adolescence. I want to scream, to lecture, to make him understand the gravity of his actions. Instead, I speak softly, trying to guide him without crushing him. It's exhausting work, but also the most rewarding. By the time the courtroom empties, I'm drained. My robe feels heavier than ever. I glance at the clock. Nearly 6. Some days, I leave later, much later. Back in my chambers, I review the day's notes. I draft rulings, sign documents, respond to messages. I know the public rarely sees this part. They see the judge at the bench, the gavel, the verdicts. They don't see the doubt, the second-guessing, the emotional toll. Some evenings, I lie awake thinking about the cases. Did I do the right thing? Could I have been more compassionate? More firm? Could I have prevented someone's life from unraveling? Sleep doesn't always come easily. There are moments when the weight feels unbearable, when the injustice in the world feels like too much, when I wonder if all the years of study, all the effort, all the responsibility are worth it. And yet, there are moments that make it bearable. A child smiles after a fair custody ruling. A person thanks me quietly for understanding their situation. A lawyer cracks a joke in the hallway and I laugh, even if I shouldn't. Those moments are rare, but they exist. I drive home. Traffic is a nightmare as always. I listen to the radio. Sometimes the news is too much. Sometimes I just want silence. At home, I hang up my robe. I make dinner. I try to relax. My family asked about my day. I smile and give vague answers. They don't need the gory details. And honestly, sometimes I don't want to talk about it. I pour a glass of wine. I read a book that isn't about law. I try to separate myself from the role, to remember that I'm more than a robe, the gavel, the courtroom. And yet, the cases linger in my mind. I think about the teenager, the divorce, the petty thief, the assault victim. Their lives intersected with mine, if only for a moment. And in a strange way, that's what keeps me going. I remind myself that perfection is impossible. Justice is messy, human, flawed. And sometimes being a judge is about navigating the gray, the uncomfortable, the unfair. I check my email one last time. Tomorrow will bring more files, more cases, more decisions. I sigh. I pour another glass of coffee. I glance at the pile of paperwork. And I tell myself I'll do it again. Because despite the exhaustion, the doubt, the stress, the frustration, the loneliness, there's something about this work that matters. Even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if no one notices. I turn off the lights. The courtroom is empty now, silent, waiting. And so am I. I fall asleep thinking of the people I've judged, the ones I've failed, the ones I've helped, the ones I'll see again tomorrow. And somehow that's enough to V.